He's got a good clap.
Strong. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Chafed and Confused podcast with Nick and Kyle. Nick, how are you doing today?
I'm sitting next to you. I'm doing great.
Excellent. Who do we have?
Today's guest is Greg Hill. Greg Hill is a name synonymous with crushing. Greg's previously been recognized as one of the 25 fittest men in the world by Men's Fitness. Greg has previously been named Skier of the Year by Skiing Magazine. Greg has been recognized by National Geographic Adventure as one of their Adventures of the Year. Greg's a ski mountaineer with many first descents. Greg once skied 2 million vertical feet in a year and 50,000 feet in 24 hours. Greg is a sponsored athlete, an author, a husband, a father. He's planted 1 million trees in his life. Greg has skied all over the world and is also an ambassador for Protect Our Winters. Welcome, Greg.
God, hearing that stuff makes me feel kind of lazy.
Who
is that guy?
Yeah, I like as you like stokely looked out the window. You're like, pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Maybe I can
whoa,
take,
I don't have the energy to do any of that stuff anymore. So.
Maybe I'll take tomorrow off.
I really just want to put Greg as a searcher, and just that was it.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
like that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we start every episode with 10 icebreaker questions. Get to know you a little better. Question number 1, pineapple on pizza? Hell yes. Or...
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah,
we're off to a good start.
Without a question.
Excellent.
Pineapple on burgers, if you fry it up a little bit, caramelize that sugar. Absolutely. Okay, icebreaker number 2.
Icebreaker number 2. Here we go. What is your preferred sock height and why?
I'm one of those guys that doesn't really care. I probably have one low and one high. No preference.
All right.
Yeah.
The laundry machine is your
Yeah,
mortal
as
enemy.
long as they're the same thickness, I don't really care.
Okay. So what's your preferred thickness?
The same. It doesn't matter.
All right.
Yeah.
What book are you reading right now or have just read?
Oh, I randomly read fantasies or historical fiction. This one was just a random fantasy. It's pretty good.
Nice.
Just finished it this morning.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Morning reader.
I don't even know what it was called.
Props to you.
Super memorable.
Yeah, I read books just to get transported into another world.
Yeah. Hey, I like it.
Yeah.
I made that decision in my 30s. I was like, I don't need to, no more self-help. Just
No, exactly.
fantasy and
You
fiction.
can't change this.
Yeah. Number 4, do you like to train with friends or train alone?
A bit of both. I love the freedom of just like, oh, I'm going to go out for a run right now and not having to coordinate anything. So I do a lot alone just because it's simple, it's efficient. So probably preference is alone.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Number 5, what's your favorite pre-race or run pump-up song or genre of music?
What gets you going?
Yeah, I just get myself going. I don't like, I'm a psycho. I'll drive 6 hours and not even put on music.
Okay.
I'll just like listen to my thoughts over and over.
Just
and
look
over.
in the
so
mirror?
the pump up just comes from within. I don't have a song.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's,
Pump up comes from within. That's going to be a soundbite.
yeah, that's a quote for sure. If you could be really good at another sport, what would it be and why?
Oh, it wouldn't be a sport. It'd be music. I'd like to be a guitarist or maybe a bassist. Actually, a stand-up bassist would be pretty sick.
There's still time, Greg.
There is, and there's still time to get better at another sport too. But yeah, stand-up bassist. That's my new sport.
All right, nice. I like it. I'm looking forward to the album.
Whilst-
Solo album
whilst-
dropping.
While skiing.
Yeah, exactly. No. Yeah.
Where's your next vacation? Or if you got a week off tomorrow, where'd you go?
Whew. I'm kind of on a bit of a climbing binge these days. So somewhere I'm liking, like I'd love to go to probably Greece to go climbing where all those people are going.
I'm leaving next week.
Oh, jealous.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because then you have ocean and cliffs and good food.
Yeah.
Sounds
I'm
amazing.
excited. It's my first international big climbing trip. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm stoked.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Nice.
Are you taking a carry-on? You squeeze right in there.
Yeah.
exactly.
We paid
Wait
for
a
extra
second.
baggage.
I don't have much happening next week. Yeah.
When it comes to races, chase or be chased?
That's a good one. I mean, I haven't done many races lately, but I typically start off too fast, so I guess be chased. Yeah. But it does feel good when you finally catch up to somebody for sure.
Totally.
But I mean, the last race I did was almost 8 years ago. It was the Kill the Banker.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. 8 years ago?
Yeah.
Didn't you do like the Minotaur recently?
Oh, Yeah, I forgot about that one. I DNF'd that one.
Oh,
So.
okay, it doesn't count.
He was trying to forget.
Yeah,
Oh, thanks.
sorry.
No, I totally forgot about that. You're right. Yeah.
Oh boy, bringing up demons here.
We forget failures so quickly.
Yeah. If you could go on any adventure with someone dead or alive, who would it be, and what would the adventure be?
Wow, I guess I'd probably love to, because I'm on a climbing binge these days, I think I'd love to go up the nose. And I mean, because I climbed a lot in the 90s, Lynn Hill. She's got the same last name as me.
Yeah, first person to
She's
go
kind
free.
of a funny hippie, like a bit spacey these days, but in her prime, I would have loved to go up the nose with her.
Sweet. Yeah. What is your favorite post-epic snack or meal?
Post-epic. Oh, it's just endless, isn't it? You just want to like pound as much food as you can. I mean, I instantly have a huge smoothie. I have these like 1.5 liter smoothies that
Oh, nice.
I just drink right out of the smoothie container.
Yeah.
Or like the mixer.
The vessel.
Whatever, the vessel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's like, what are you doing? I'm like, this is how you do it.
Yeah. Just 8 scoops of protein powder. And
Yeah, exactly. All of it.
BCAA. It's just,
blueberries.
You're choking.
yeah, it's just no liquid. It's just
So good.
dry.
Yeah.
Well, we've added a few extra questions for you. So
Oh,
I'll
wow.
save-
There's 3 extra ones. They
There's
said 10.
You're an
I
ultra
said-
guy. We added a few
said
questions.
three
Yeah,
more.
we had to extend our questions. So question 12, I'll go back to 11 at last. Do you prefer the uphill or the downhill?
Oh, I mean, without the downhill, I wouldn't like the uphill, but I like the uphill because it leads to the downhill for sure. But yeah,
I think you just answered that in the loop.
It's a loop because without one, the other's not worth it. So the downhill is incredible, and I love downhill on the skiing. But in the backcountry, the downhill is that much better. But it's that much better because the uphill. But the uphill, yeah, without the downhill, you wouldn't want to do it. So
I think the earth just stopped spinning.
exactly, yeah.
What's the worst job you've ever had?
I mean, not a lot. I had a job carpentry in Whistler that this guy was a total asshole all the time to me. He was in a bad state, and he was a jerk to me. That made that job pretty bad. Like, what are you, an idiot? What are you doing, you idiot? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
The Gordon Ramsay of carpentry.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was tough. Apart from that, I don't think I've had. I've probably blanked them out like failures. You just forget them. I might get back to that one. See if I can remember midway through.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And finally, in the world of ultra movement and getting after it, do you consider yourself chafed or confused?
I don't know. I was like, probably chafed. I'm a little less adventurous right now, so chafed. I'll go with chafed.
Yeah. All right.
I like it.
Sweet. Well, you've passed, and you got the bonus questions. So we're on to the next
We're
one.
On
ready.
the board.
Yeah.
Ready.
Greg, where are you from and where do you live?
So I'm from Sutton, Quebec, small little town south of Montreal, and now I live in Revelstoke. I've lived here over half my life now.
Amazing.
Actually, in the house that I'm in, coming up to half my life.
It's cool.
Yeah.
How did you get here?
How did I get here?
Yeah.
I drove.
What brought you here?
What brought you to Revelstoke?
The mountains and the snow. I lived in Canmore for a winter, and everyone talked about Rogers Pass. And then I lived in Whistler the next winter, and everybody talked about Rogers Pass. So I was like, well, let's go to Rogers Pass. And Revelstoke was where you lived.
How do you make a living to afford running shoes and skis?
Thankfully, I haven't paid for any of those in a long time.
That helps.
No, professional athlete for probably the last 15 years. And then now I'm kind of transitioning. I'm kind of at the end of my career.
All right.
So I actually work with Arc'teryx as like leadership development, special onboarding for VPs. I'm in this weird new role that we don't know what it is. I'm kind of trying to get chief stoke officer.
Nice.
But essentially, I work with the CEO and his gang, and I get them out doing things because they're running an outdoor company.
True.
And if they don't know what the adventure is of outdoors and the thrill of pushing yourself, then Arc'teryx is sunk. So I'm kind of like made this role for myself.
That's awesome. You're going corporate though.
It's corporate.
Yeah,
I call it corporate Greg.
He's crushing vert, but in a suit.
Yeah.
Leather shoes.
Yeah.
Oh no, we make fun of it all the time. Corporate Greg's gonna only be so corporate, but it's actually kind of a new chapter.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That'd be a great video, actually. Just
Yeah,
like
just
a
in
bunch
like
of
a Lycra
Arc'teryx
suit.
in valence suits crushing up something.
Yeah,
Talk to us. Well,
Yeah.
our people will talk to you.
yeah, exactly.
And are you Arc'teryx? I think you mentioned this to me before. Are you Arc'teryx's longest standing
Yeah,
athlete?
yeah, exactly. So it's 1996. I got my first pro deal on a backpack, and then 2001 is I won a ski mountaineering race in Whistler, and then that's when the relationship started. So 25 years ago almost.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I never expected it. I never thought I'd be a professional athlete.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of fell into place. So yeah.
And it's cool that you see a lot these days, athletes bouncing around to different places for different deals or for whatever reason. Like, it's pretty cool to have just worked with a company for 25 years and seen it evolve, the humans evolve, the products evolve. Like,
oh yeah, no, it's really neat. I do. There was, when I signed with Solomon, they're like, come in for clothing. And I was like, I'm not. One, the technicality and the gear architects I've always loved, but I'm really happy to have stayed true to them because they were always for me, and I stayed true to them, which is good because it's pretty easy to like see the shiny thing and jump for it, and then you're only there for 2 years. And I know that it's added to my longevity just being there the whole time. Yeah. And for sure, I mean, I don't even know the numbers. We're a $20 million company when must have been 100 million when I joined, and now we're 2.6 billion. So yeah,
wow.
It went down 2.6 million.
billion. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we should have stuck with this guy.
How has that transition, do you think, from being a professional athlete 25 years ago to sort of what new professional athletes are seeing? How's the industry changed?
Oh, I mean, I think it's a challenging industry now, like to set yourself apart and be different than everybody else. But there's so many influencers out there. There's so many people making videos and documenting, and it's like, it's wild. Like, it would be really challenging. I know that, like, I'm thinking back to when I first before GoPros, I had this camera that was attached to a cable, and I created this whole suspension system to have it in front of me and film me as I was skiing down this run. And it was like the POV of the face shots that you see all the time now. But when I did it, it was a unique thing that allowed, like, that made it kind of special. And like, it was easier to be special because it was like a small pond and less people. Now it's just like, I don't know how you just differentiate yourself. So much noise. And I have my son's, he's a great climber, and he's seen me be a sponsored athlete my whole life. And he's probably like, oh, maybe I could. And I'm like, God, there'd be so much you'd have to do to set yourself apart, to be different. And to, like, it's so easy to just buy into, I'll just do crazy shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy now that all these AI apps are out. It almost makes all that stuff less appealing to me, which maybe is useful, but it's like, oh, now that you can make anything look like anything, what is real, what is not real, you can no longer trust what you see, and then it makes it less exciting, which is good, but also like a bit sad at the same time.
But if you flip that, maybe that's where, like, authenticity, if you can be real and true to your uniqueness, maybe that'll help you set apart. But yeah, I know the AI stuff's wild. Yeah. I haven't created any footage yet, but I should. Like, here I am on another mountain, and meanwhile you're on your living room drinking coffee.
You got the green screen behind you. And,
exactly.
Yeah. It is crazy that it feels like every other thing you see is AI generated, or you see brands jumping to just influencers and more of the lifestyle than the hardcore thing. Yeah, it's interesting to see the shift.
Can you explain, you've done a lot of ski mountaineering in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain for folks at home who maybe don't know what ski touring or ski mountaineering, what it is?
What it is.
The essence of ski mountaineering.
Maybe in 10 words.
Yeah. Or less.
I mean, backcountry, I think there's two different things. There's backcountry skiing and ski mountaineering. I think backcountry skiing is sort of the act of, like, hiking up a mountain and skiing back down it. And you have a really cool system where you have a pair of skis that has a cross-country binding on it, and you put a skin, this thing that grips one way and slides the other on the bottom. And you slide and grip your way up a mountain in a cross-country type binding. And then when you get to the top, you take that skin off and you flip the binding around, and all of a sudden you have a downhill ski. But really what it is it allows you to look into the mountains, and you can kind of go wherever your heart is happy to go, or wherever you're excited to go. Obviously there's hazards and all those other things, but it's the best form of skiing because you're not limited to where the lifts take you. You're not limited to anything except where your mind wants to take you. And then that kind of takes you into the ski mountaineering, whereas all of a sudden there's mountains, and you're not just going to meadow skip. You're all of a sudden looking at a big mountain and wondering how you can get up it safely and how you can ski down it safely and what wild lines you can do. And it's more of it takes a lot of skill. You gotta grow your skill set up to being comfortable with ropes and crevasses and cliffs and all these crazy things to eventually conquer, to eventually climb these mountains and ski back down them. And it's a bit more extreme. I think ski mountaineering is extreme, whereas backcountry skiing can be for the everyday person who just wants to go out and enjoy the outdoors and get some fun skiing in. I don't know if I answered.
I like it.
It wasn't 10 words, but it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, you can take 10 out of there.
Can you talk about how it found you?
Yeah, So I've always skied. We actually, living in Quebec, we used to do these cross country trips from our place over some Appalachian mountains to a Mexican restaurant. And like, it was probably like I don't know, felt like a long 8-10 hour trip. It was probably only 4 or 3 hours. I don't know. I have to ask my dad, but we used to actually kind of do these backcountry tours in Quebec. And then I skied all the time. So like, as I remember in grade 3, I skied 65 days or something. Like I loved skiing right off the bat. And then kind of moved out west. I was a rock climber for a bunch of years, and that was it. I just climbed. That's all that mattered. I was like 6 days a week, climb. And I loved the challenge and I loved the rewards. And then my shoulders started dislocating, and I was out west to climb mountains and learn to climb ice. And there was some skiing involved, but I wasn't here for the skiing. And then my shoulders started dislocating. I was like, oh, okay, switch of life direction here. I can't climb anymore. Let's see what else. And luckily I'd started a little bit of backcountry skiing the year before. And I was like, okay, I like this. This has got challenge. This has got a lot of things to think about, and then it's got an incredible reward. So yeah, it kind of found me that way. In like 95, my stepfather turned 50, and we were going to come out and heli ski, but we're not rich. So we ended up going to Selkirk Mountain Experience up here and backcountry skiing. And that's the first place I backcountry skied, was at Rudy's place, which was an amazing week of just this incredible powder and backcountry trip with all my family. And I remember I wrote in my journal then, I was like, I don't know how he does this, like how he can take 8 newbies and travel through this hazardous terrain and then give us these incredible moments. And I didn't realize then that that was going to be my path many years later. But no, I just kind of fell into it because I loved being outdoors. I loved challenge. And then all of a sudden I loved trying to see what you could do out there. Initially I was like, I'm going to get fit so that if anybody needs to be saved, I can save them. Bit of the hero issue there where I want to save people. Like I say, I like fantasy books because I like the hero's journey, and I wanted my own hero journey. But I started training literally, so if anybody was like, we need help, I could be like, I'll go help them. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm still training for it.
It's funny that a part of you, I feel like that's a common theme in a lot of human beings, and a part of you thinks that, but at the same time you're like, or I could just think, I hope nothing goes wrong so that I don't have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that was right off the bat. I was like, this is really dangerous. So when I first took right away, I was like, okay, I know I've got way too much energy. I know I'm going to kill myself. So let's take some courses. And so I got into as many courses as I could. And my first avalanche course was in Rogers Pass in 99. And during our course, we were digging a pit and on NRC there. And all of a sudden the guide was like, avalanche. And we look up and there's a big freaking avalanche coming down. And soon enough, we were part of a rescue. There's 5 people caught. And it was like, this whole like, oh my God, this is incredibly dangerous. It's real. So let's learn how to do it safely. And I mean, Shane passed away that day, and I met Shane 3 days before. We skied a bunch. He turned 23, and then he died a couple of days later. So it was a huge like awakening moment where you're like, okay, this is incredible, but it's also really dangerous, and we need to somehow make the right decisions. Otherwise I'm going to join Shane really quickly.
Yeah.
Wow, talk about an intro. I mean,
we didn't mention it in the intro. I did have it written down, but I forgot to say it, I guess, that you obviously are an ACMG ski guide.
Yeah, exactly. And I went through the ACMG guide program just to learn. So one, I could be safer for myself and the people I was going with. I thought also it's a great job to eventually guide a lot. And, but I really took it to just learn, because I was like, how else do I figure out how to be safe out here and have the skills to rescue us or to stay away from avalanches? So it was all part of the process of just becoming a better mountain person. And then it turns out I also like guiding. I've always liked taking people out. And so it kind of worked hand in hand, I guess.
Nice. You're married, you have a family. When you started out, were you married did you have a partner when you first moved here?
No, I moved here. No.
And so has having a partner and having a family changed the way you see risk in the mountains or the way that you operate in the mountains?
It didn't at first. I think now it's changed, but no. So I had my kids when I was 30, and I'm trying to think let me just trying to review my life in a quick second here.
his life literally.
Well, there was risk is a funny thing. It just, you can convince yourself that you know enough, that you're doing the right things, that you're actually not taking risks. And there was a year when I switched from Dynafit to Solomon. No, when Dynafit came out with the Vulcan 2, all of a sudden I had this ski boot that was insane. And I called it the year of the reckless. I was just like, I could ski so much better with these boots. They were much better than what had been around. And I was just all of a sudden so freaking strong and so confident that I was just doing crazy shit. And I had kids, but I felt like I was total control. Like I skied brown shorts and I was like, oh yeah, there's a little wind slab up here, whatever. And just charged it. And there was a huge avalanche coming down and it was following me and I was just arcing turns down. And I was just like so in control and so strong that I didn't feel like I was taking risks, even though I had a 50-foot wall of snow following me down. So it's a perspective thing. And then, yeah, for sure, having kids eventually caught up to me, but I really just I felt like I knew enough. I had the right partners that I could keep taking risks. But slowly now, I'm 49. I'm definitely way less riskier, and it's more age. Sorry, kids, than that. Like I always felt like I'll come back for my kids, but I also in Pakistan in 2014, I almost died in an avalanche and got shattered and broken leg, and that was probably a bit of an awakening moment too. But I also like my kids have always understood that it's like my dad needs to be an adventurer, and if you took away that adventure side of me, I'd just be the shell of the person that they know and love, and I wouldn't be this excited. I wouldn't be the dad they know. Mm-hmm. So they've always like in a way understood it a little bit, but it's the easy perspective when I'm still here to say that.
Yeah,
right.
I really enjoy that about you. That I think a lot of us roll through life not acknowledging that death is always there.
Yeah,
and we talk about risk in the mountains. Getting in your car and driving to Rogers Pass is probably riskier than going ski touring in Rogers Pass.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that you acknowledge that. I think a lot of people go into the mountains not really understanding or just with blinders on that anything could happen at any time.
Yeah. I mean, it's adventure has risk. Risk means stuff can go wrong. No matter what you do, stuff can go wrong. I mean, forever I've always had a letter on my computer for my family in case I die. And then eventually when I wrote my book, I could die at any moment.
We're going to get there.
I'm jumping ahead, I'm sure. But when I wrote that, it was trying to have a letter to my family, to my friends, to try to explain why we keep going out there, even though we know. What you haven't seen is I've got these other pieces of footage of me filming myself over the years that were also like these moments of like dad being real in case dad dies before they get to know me. Which are pretty heavy, but they're like, I've always figured it'd be better to have that and to recognize that shit could go wrong and give my kids something to be like, oh, look, here's my dad saying he loves me and that he wants me to excel at life or whatever, than just like ignoring the truth of it all.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I mean, if you also too, like, and this is not just a reflection on you, but like if you heard that your friend that loved mountaineering passed away in the mountains, obviously you'd be super sad. But I'd be more sad if I heard that my friend who loved mountaineering stopped mountaineering, let himself go, got overweight, and had a heart attack and died on his couch at home.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That'd make me way sadder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
That bring you joy.
No, like a year ago, Mike died, this athlete with Arc'teryx, and he died in the mountains. He died living the way he loved, and it was sad. But at the same moment, my sister-in-law passed away at 40. She was mentally disabled her whole life, and she passed away at 40 and never had a great life. And that was way more sad to me because she never got to live. Mike was 33, but lived a life that none of us can even compare to. Mm-hmm. And sure, it was a lot shorter, but he had an incredible life, whereas Ashley had a life that she never had opportunity, and that I was way more sad for her.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. They just got sad.
One of our heavier episodes.
Can you talk about what it's like to first like pick out something that you want to ski as a first descent, and then what it feels like to go and do something? Like you've done a lot of things that folks haven't done before. Can you talk about that and kind of what you get out of that and what you feel when you're doing it?
Yeah, I guess there's a few lines where like you see them and then you're like, oh, I wonder if I could ski that. And then you slowly you accrue the knowledge, the skill to go do it. And then, sometimes it takes years to finally ski something. And like, I'm thinking of a particular line in Rogers Pass that like, I remember always going, what if, like, what could that looks incredible. That whole plane, like that looks like the best ski ever. And could we get through those cliffs? And then, years dreaming about, like mentally dreaming, taking pictures of it from different angles, and then finally skiing it and realizing that it's as good as you thought, and maybe even better. I mean, it's just an incredible process because it's like so much of the pleasure actually comes in the dreaming part and the wondering. And then when you're doing it, you're like, oh my God, this is actually working out. And, oh, Mark, don't go over there. We got to go down here. And, this line off Afton that I'm thinking about is like, and now whenever I look up to I go back to that memory of skiing it and think of how incredible that was, and even all the years of leading up to it. And I still have like photos from the view from above going, wonder if this goes, and then years of finally figuring it out and doing it. And yeah, it's just especially the longer process. It's just so satisfying when you finally do, but it's also like there's so much just in the dreaming and the wondering. And I think that's why most of us love the outdoors and what could I do? And that's where a lot of the pleasure comes.
I feel like skiing is such a niche sport in that world where you could spend a decade looking at a line, and the year that you feel like you have the skill and the partners and the time to go, and you just get a bad snow year, or like there's so much environmental variability too, where like you said, you've rock climbed for years. You can spend 10 years trying the same climb over and over and over. And I mean, the temperatures change and, a little bit, but that rock will be there.
Yeah.
But the snow is such a different variable that you have to mitigate and deal with.
Yeah. And that's what makes it that much more exciting if you actually lock it in and nail it when it's right.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to ski things when they aren't ready.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure.
If you watch Cody Townsend's 50 project, he's like skied so many lines in shitty conditions because he was just trying to force it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like you say about the conditions, like, when our best conditions were, our best April ever was COVID, and we weren't supposed to go out, and it was like cold at night, and it was like everything was staying perfect, and we all stayed home.
That was my first year ski touring, and I didn't have enough knowledge when they stopped forecasting to keep going, and I was just watching like videos of friends, I was just like, oh my God, looked great.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you had to identify some qualities that you either have or that you've attained through your life that have helped you succeed in the things that you've done in your life, could you put your finger on a few of them and how you got them?
I think it's not even a few. I think I'm just naively optimistic.
Nice.
And to be optimistic, you have to be a bit naive because you have to kind of ignore some of the realities of things. But no, I mean, like I'm just like eternally excited about whatever I'm doing, and it's great. It's like it allows me to get into things and have the energy for stuff. But like, yeah, part of me is just like, we're freaking lucky to be here, whatever weird world this is. But like, I'm excited to do the things I can because I recognize how lucky I am doing them too. Like very fortunate to have been born into my family and offered these opportunities and to live in Revelstoke. Like we're not in some war-torn country here. And like, I always tap into how lucky I am, and that lucky makes me optimistic and excited about whatever I'm doing. But it's for sure, I mean, most of I guess a lot of my grit or whatever it was learned through tree planting. So you mentioned the million trees, and those million trees were hard fought. Like it was years of 15 years of hard work. But in those days, I learned that the only limiting factor was my mind. I'd wake up every day, I'd be like, I want to make $400 today. And there was only one thing in the way. It was me. The terrain, everything else, there's all those variables. But the one thing that I could control and that would make the difference was my attitude. And so like during those years of tree planting, I just tapped into like, okay, be optimistic. And also realize that none of that matters. So just like be optimistic and go and go and go. And yeah, it's definitely my skill.
Can you talk about your relationship with success and failure?
Well, there's good. I mean, I've had lots of failure in my life. I don't even know how to go into this one. Where would I go with this question?
Are you someone that pushes towards failure as a way of getting to success, or are you someone that fears failure?
No, I mean, I think from the mountains you learn that you're going to fail many times over to be successful, and I think that's some of the learnings you get from the mountains. Is you're like, okay, failure is actually a step towards success. And there's so many cheesy things. Fail, first act in learning. Or like, there's like, but it's so true. It's like, if you can't accept failure, the successes aren't going to feel good when you get them anyways. But no, I think mountains teach all of us that. It's like, okay, you are going to fail more times than you're going to succeed. But then when you succeed, it's going to feel so good. Mm-hmm. Like I think of the first big mountain I ever tried to climb, Aconcagua. I mean, we failed. If failing's not getting to the summit, but I learned a ton. And then I started to develop a bit of a like, oh my God, I'm going to summit this thing, and a bit of a summit fever because of that failure. Like I traveled whatever it was, 7,000 kilometers, hiked in for days, got within 300 meters of the summit and turned around. And then after that, I was like, okay, if I get that close, go for it. Yeah. But no, I think failure is going to happen. I mean, yeah, successes are great, but you're going to fail along the way. But I'm always trying to figure out what's next. And I'm also like, I'm accepting of myself, but I'm also hard on myself. You know, there's been lots of self-doubt and like, what are you doing with your life and stuff like that, you know, that comes from my parents and also comes from within. So
yeah, it's pretty interesting how your parents obviously love you, but they kind of instill you with their values and what they wanted for their life that maybe they did or didn't get. And then you spend your life trying to find your own.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's much like university. My dad never went to university and he was like, you got to go to university. And I went 2 years of university and I was like, I'm doing this for him and this isn't for me. And I'm not getting anything out of this and I got to go. And it was a tough moment to be like, Dad.
Yeah. I did that when I moved out west. Had a nice job, you know, had just gotten a raise and I'm like, I'm not happy with this. And my parents were both like, you're doing what?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I've got to try something else. Like this isn't for me.
Yeah.
They called me a little rain cloud because I was just sad all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that
Different.
person.
And I'm different now.
I can't imagine you being sad.
I know.
Can you talk about minimal impact adventures or adventuring in your backyard and your relationship with that?
I know. I was actually writing in my journal this morning. I've as an environmentalist, I sway back and forth because for like a bunch of years ago, I went into this circle of, oh my God, we're screwing the world. What can I do? And so 2017, I was like, okay, let's see what I can do. And I got an electric car and started to prove that electric cars could work and started to figure out how to like minimize my impact on the world. Cause I look around and it's like, we're just destroying this incredible place. And I figured us as the outdoor people, we're the ones that get the most back from nature. So we should be the stewards for it. And I did I've done so much to my house. I like re-insulated it, solar panels. You know, I offset the gas I use in my house. Like I minimize my imprint as much as possible with my house. And then I tried to inspire more people to like adventure in their backyard and live in the right place where they don't have to travel around the world. And like, there's so much more value in things in your backyard that you adventure on and that you do. Like say some first ascents we did in Norway. I don't even remember what they looked like. I don't remember where they were. I remember, oh, we did a first ascent. But now here, like I look up and I see like, say, McPherson, Tilly, Begbie. Like I was like, oh my God, like I can remember all the different times and adventures I've had on that. And they resonate for way longer and they mean so much more. So I think if you're lucky enough to live with a place with a backyard like this, it's like you can spend most of your life here. But it's also nice to travel a bit. So like my reflection this morning was I'm not as environmental as I used to be. And it's just because I've got a little bit dismayed at the rest of the world. I'm like, okay, I've done a lot of changes. I tried to influence a lot of people to change. I didn't travel. I sacrificed. And then I started looking around. I was like, well, not a lot of people are. Mm-hmm. And I started to think to myself, like, really, is it worth it? So lately I've been a little bit bad, but I think I'm going to swing back a little bit late because it's kind of like the pendulum. You like go really good one way and then you swing back, get mad at yourself and swing it back to find where you're happy.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like your sustainability has to be sustainable for you.
Yeah. There you go. Sustainability. But it's a challenge. I mean, I wrestle with it all the time. I'm a POW ambassador, Protect Our Winters, and we have a meeting in Banff in a couple of weeks and I'm going to go. And I do like where I'm sitting now, I'm definitely a little dismayed, you know, like when David Suzuki gives up on affecting policy, that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Like David Suzuki.
Yeah.
You might not know him.
I know David Suzuki is.
But like David Suzuki is all of a sudden helping communities prep for the uncertain future. He's no longer trying to affect policy. And that's kind of a scary moment when somebody like that who's fought for 30 years is giving up on helping change policy. It's kind of scary.
It's interesting in Revie too, this town, it's, you know, we have so many people like yourself and others who like, we've got the refillery and all sorts of people trying to make those little steps to reduce our footprint. Meanwhile, we're the heli ski capital of, you know, the world, or Canada. Yeah. And, you know, just like the footprint that those things create. And, you know, you
and we're in Mountain Archives here that is all this reusable clothing that gets fixed. It's pretty neat. But to argue, I mean, I'm not big on heli skiing, but it's actually their international travel that has a bigger impact than anything.
Right.
It turns out that the heli skiing is actually not as bad as you think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, good. I think I've obviously worked a few heli ops, but like a day of heli skiing is equivalent to someone driving from Vancouver to Whistler, going skiing and then driving home. Similar fuel usage.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's not as crazy as you think, but it's more them traveling. It's more exactly like we encourage people to travel from the farthest reaches to come here and enjoy what we have. And it's a conundrum because if you got rid of all that, you'd all of a sudden get rid of all of our jobs.
Yeah, it's a huge employer in Minnesota.
For sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything in your life that you've done that you wish you could have a do-over on and do again? a big thing, like a pivotal thing.
Like regretting?
Yeah. You don't seem like a guy that lives that way.
No, I try not to live with regrets. No regrets.
Yeah.
You know, the tattoo. No, that's a tough one. I have to think on that a little bit. Like, would I want to redo things? I mean,
you can text us at 3:00 tomorrow morning.
No, I mean, one of the things I've done is I've smoked a lot of weed in my life, and I think if I could go back a bit, I'd love to tailor it a little bit less, because it definitely gets in the way of relationships. But I haven't smoked for a year and a half now. But yeah, I think that'd probably be it. I don't have much. I've tried to live to my values and to what I believe, and thankfully,
That's pretty great.
Thankfully, it's pretty good. I mean, yes, obviously, like maybe not go to Pakistan and trigger an avalanche that almost killed me. But
maybe it saved your life after that.
And maybe it saved my life or
decisions.
taught me lessons that it did teach me lessons that have made me a better person. So it's probably not that.
If you haven't seen that, go watch Greg's movie Electric Greg. That watching you get caught in that avalanche is frightening.
Yeah, it's some of the best avalanche footage you could see.
Yeah,
it's a pity my GoPro got torn off in the avalanche too, because if we'd had the two perspectives, it would have been really like next level.
Yeah, you have the self-made say face cam hanging over your shoulder.
Yeah, no regrets. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have gone to university for those 2 years and focused on other things, but I also grew a lot there. I mean, not really.
It's hard. I mean, everything that you did got you here.
Yeah.
And you're pretty happy here. So
yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah. Everything, all the successes and failures all bring me to this point where I'm happy to be who I am, doing what I do. So yeah, you can't.
Sit next to these two guys.
Yeah.
Like, you know you're really
Chafed
messed
and
up somehow.
You know you made it now.
Yeah.
You should see them with their matching shirts. I guess you will on the videos, but it's good.
I mean, to the podcast, we are started off as a running podcast, and we know you've done some running races. So what brought you to running? Why do you run?
Why do I run? Yeah, I mean, running's amazing. I love the simplicity of it. I love it for fitness. I also love it where your mind goes. You know, it's just incredible. I used to run a lot in high school. I went to a private school, and anytime you got in trouble, you had to run laps.
Nice.
Sick. I would just get in trouble all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it'd be like 6 o'clock. I'd be running laps around the campus because I was in trouble for being a sarcastic little kid. But no, I've just always loved the freedom and what you can do with it. And I was thinking about this morning when I was walking my dog, because 2018, Bruno Long and I went on a bunch of runs that year, and it was amazing. It was like I'd come back from breaking my leg, and I wanted to prove that I could do running around the mountains. And that was that same year you and I met, I think, when we went running at Assiniboine. And it was this like ice line, snow line, like all these rock wall, like did all these incredible runs. And like there's those moments are so cool. The fact that you can just like get a group of friends, tie your shoes up, buy water and some snacks, and then run 50K through the mountains, up over passes. And let's be clear too, when you run in the mountains, there's a lot of walking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
walk, run flats,
Downhill,
run
downhill.
yeah, exactly. But no, like thinking of the rock wall, like that trip was amazing because we had somebody in their 20s, somebody in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And we were all out there doing it, and like just seeing the longevity of the sport and the fact that age doesn't matter. It was wicked. But no, I've always just liked it because it's just fitness, it's free, and like you really don't need much. It's one of the best sports out there. Mm-hmm. As a dad, it's great too because you're not gone for hours. Well, unless you're Nick, and then you're gone all day. But no, there's something just free and simple about it, and just like I love the meditation and a movement where you're just like lost in your thoughts and daydreaming, and you just go somewhere, and all of a sudden you're, I just ran 10K. So,
yeah.
It's like a max version of ski touring, because ski touring you only have so many steps per minute or hour, but when you're running it's like exponential. And I mean, it's super fun to just be where you're at and feel that, and have it just draws you into it. I don't know. I'm gonna go through it.
Yeah,
we start talking about running,
buckle up.
There's something about it.
Yeah. No, and living in Revelstoke, it's like you look around and you see all the incredible people doing all these wild runs, and it's just awesome. You know that so many people are just enjoying living and getting these amazing moments. Like, I mean, yeah, there's so many runs, and the Tantrum's one of my faves. It's just under 10K. It's got like, I can't remember, 300 meters of vertical. It's just a perfect trail. I love it because it's not fast, but it's got ups and downs, and always keeps your heart rate up and then down. Yeah, it's one of my faves.
Tantrum North is probably one of my favorite bits of trail. Just like that flat zone where you're running through sort of the old forest, and then you hit the hill and you got to sweat it out a little bit. But
I don't know what he means by Tantrum North.
The one like behind the farm.
Yeah.
You alluded to it before. You wrote a book
Yeah.
I could die at any moment.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the book. Thank you for writing the book.
Awesome.
And thank you for being so honest in the book. It arrived at a time in my life where it was helpful. Can you talk about that process of writing a book, making yourself vulnerable, sharing these things that maybe you'd shared before or hadn't shared before? You share them in a small circle and then you get to share them to everyone?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The book thing's funny. I've always wanted to write a book. I've got journal entries from when I was 18 that I wanted to write a book. It's just something I've always wanted. I always thought I'd write some fictional thing, and I realized I'm not deep enough or intelligent enough to do that. So I was like, what do you know? Oh, you know yourself. But no, I don't know. I just felt like, especially to the angle I took, that it's a letter to my kids, a letter to my friends. It's like you might as well be as personal as you can be and open. And I think so many of us like put up there's almost a front where people assume you're not insecure. People assume these things. And it's like, I think we all have these doubts. We all have these weaknesses. And it's like, let's just be honest with them and then share them. And then maybe people will be like, oh, okay. I can still do great things, even though I doubt myself all the time, and like, I think so. Yeah. For me, it was like, I just wanted to get into what I did and who I was and why. And like, if you spend enough time alone, hopefully you spend enough time thinking about who you are and why you're there. And, I'm like, influences from parents, influences from brothers and siblings, and just the journey to become who you are. And I think like for all of us, we're on this one, and we should take it seriously. Like let's figure out who we are and make the best of this weird time we're here. And yeah, I mean, the book's funny. It was a journey. When I broke my leg, I wrote a couple chapters then, and then 8 years later, I still hadn't done anything. And I was like, I kept getting mad at myself, being like, this is something you want to do. Why aren't you doing it? And then finally I hired some editor out of Vancouver to edit. And what she did is she actually was not a great editor, but she kept asking me for a chapter every 2 weeks. So she kept me accountable.
She was perfect.
She was perfect. And it cost me $5,000 and I don't even care because she actually made me write it.
Yeah.
And then once I had something, then I went to the next step and found this publisher and got this thing published. But I never did it for money. I just did it as something I wanted to do. I don't think I'll ever make any money with it, but it's just something I dreamt of doing, and it feels really great to do it. Because for sure, like for years, I was like, "Come on, do that thing you want to do," and are you ever gonna do it? And finally, I did it, and it feels great. And yeah, it's fun to see that there's things that people get out of it, just like you said. Because like that's all you can hope in life is to affect others in a positive way, and if it's doing that, then that's success.
Awesome.
One of our previous guests is that was their answer to one of the 10 questions to your book.
No, nice.
It's out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you talk about service in your life? You're someone who that seems like it's a big part of your life. Sharing your story, inspiring people, helping people.
Yeah, that's funny. So when you wanted me to come on this, you're like, "Well, we'll pay you," and I was like, "I don't need to be paid. I win by acts of service. That's one of my love languages." But no, I don't know. I think in life, exactly. If you can do things for others and make their lives better, then that's a win. I don't know. Nothing really makes sense to me. I'm not religious. I don't even know if I'm spiritual, but I do know that we're all here. And if we can make other people's lives better, then that's a win. And it's the same thing, guiding, taking people out, expanding people's boundaries. It's what I've always kind of liked doing, and just trying to be real. Mm-hmm. So yeah, acts of service. It is. I've actually not read the 5 love languages, but I do know.
I understand.
That's one of mine.
You know yours. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm curious, just very quickly, you've mentioned journaling a few times. How long you've obviously done it since your teens?
Well, I did it a lot of my teens when I was wondering who the hell I was and what I was doing with my life. And I try to I'm getting my kids to do it now too. But tried in my mid-20s, basically right around when I met Tracy in life. I got busy with my girlfriend, wife, kids, all those things. I stopped for a bunch of years. I did run a blog for 4 or 5 years, and that was kind of active journaling. Mm-hmm. It's quite dead online. I should shut it down. But then lately, actually, Bruno Long there, I went to his talk about how he got into art this summer, and he started journaling this artist's way, this process. Yeah. And he kind of reignited it. And I'm trying to journal now. I'm trying to wake up in the morning and spend a half an hour before I get on my phone. Like I make my cup of coffee, sit down and journal. And it's not like deep introspective stuff. I'm not sure what it is. I'm just writing about my thoughts and what have you. But it just it's giving me a moment to start the day uninfluenced by all the clutter and all the distraction, and be like, okay, what's Greg thinking about today? Yeah. And it's been great. I just literally, Bruno got me back onto it, and I'd kind of love to continue it. And I saw a friend of mine, he's like, it's journaling is just the way to become a better person. And it just gives you pause. We're so busy these days. Like
Mm-hmm.
that cup of coffee this morning was pretty good. Just scribbling a bit of thoughts.
There's something about the fact that you cannot physically write as fast as you can think that filters and distills your brain because you have to slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What he
Very
said.
powerful. Very powerful.
And it's great for travel. I mean, I assumed you probably journaled a bunch on your like trips and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I did a big trip in South America and journaled every day. And I don't go back and read it a lot, but when I do, it's hilarious and awesome. And you can kind of see what 5 years ago Kyle was dealing with, and it's great. I think it's a very good practice.
That was part of the process when I wrote my book, is I grabbed my 12 journals or whatever they were and would like flick through and try to find interesting moments and stuff. And it was fun for sure.
Makes you realize like a mundane Tuesday 10 years ago was actually a pretty good Tuesday. And, you know, it's just you completely forgotten about it, but you had a good experience or, you know, interaction. And it's a good
They're really neat for sure. I mean, mine right now, I just like, it always comes back to how lucky I am.
Yeah.
And it's like so stupid. You're like, but recognizing that and living into the fact that I am lucky, and it allows me to get excited and help continue to share with others, I guess.
Can you talk about, it's pretty amazing some of the things that you've done as far as opening the door on seemingly impossible things, whether it be, you know, skiing something or, you know, seeing a certain amount of vert, but you see people like, how does it feel now to see people who are now doing their own version of that, or they're doing what you did and going further? Like, can you talk about that? Like, obviously you open the door for those human beings. Like, how does that feel?
I mean, I think, it's great. I mean, to me, like, I think of life as chapters. And like when I was working towards that 50,000 feet in 24 hours, it was like a 6-7 year goal where I dream about it all summer. I do a certain amount of vertical. I dream about it all, and then I do it next year. And I slowly worked up to it, and accomplishing it was the goal. And then when you see that all of a sudden, like when I did 50,000 feet, I did it with this guy, Jimmy. He'd never done more than 20,000 feet. And all of a sudden we unlocked this new record together. And then now like 80,000 feet, it's like, it's awesome. And I think like to just have helped push the boundary a little bit, and you got to know somebody's going to take it further. Of course, and you got to be mature enough to be like, okay, this is great. You know, like to hold reservations against others going further than you is just, it's immature. Like you just like, you got to accept it. You're like, I know that I'm very human. I don't ever consider myself like an elite athlete. I'm just like, I've been able to do things through optimism, but I know there's somebody else that goes further. Like you see what Killian just did, and that was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like, you don't want to sit there jealous. You want to sit there and go, oh my God, that's incredible.
I think there's also a part of you that doesn't see how these other people see you. Like you know, you maybe you see someone do something and you're like, oh, they did more than what I did. But in reality, they look at you as a huge part of what they did.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
We don't necessarily see that.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like Noah Dines, who just did 3.5 million last year, feet up and down stuff. You know, I psyched him up the whole time. Like right away when he was like, I'm going for 3 million. I was like, dude, go for 3.3 because you want to do 1 million meters. And like right away, I was excited for what he was doing and like what he did. And I would never want to do because it had a lot of non-adventure, but it was exciting. And I knew that the foundation of part of his dream was hearing about me and hearing about Aaron and like that what we did. And like, it's fun to know that we inspired him to go further. And I managed to meet him during one of my talks last year, which was awesome.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I remember seeing the picture on Instagram. Perhaps the most hard-hitting question we're going to ask you: who is Shreggy?
Yeah. Okay, so no matter what, you're going to get to a point in your life where you're not getting better at something. And people are always going to think we'll just say Greg Hill. Oh, I'm going ski touring Greg Hill. And then you put this image, Greg's going to break trail. We're going to do something rad. We're doing that Greg Hill. And maybe Greg Hill isn't that guy anymore. Maybe he's not as fit. Maybe he's not as driven, as risk taking. And so like, you kind of don't want to be that person anymore. Like, yes, I'm still him, but I don't know. You get to a point where I'm not that guy anymore. And I'm not getting better at skiing. So a few years ago, I switched to snowboarding. 3 years ago. This will be my 4th. And it was a moment of just like being able to become something different to hopefully change expectations. Like, oh, we're going out with Shreggy. We're going to like, who knows what we're going to do? We're going to hit bongs the whole way up the trail. I don't know. But like Shreggy, it's just going to be a little different. It's not like we're not going with this guy that's proposed to be this elite mountaineer. We're just going to go out with this guy that's splitboarding and it's his 1st or 2nd year and it's just going to be fun. So like Shreggy's kind of that. It's like relabeling who I am and just kind of having fun with it. And it's really fun to be a split boarder, snowboarder. It's like, I'm loving it. Yeah. Nick's like, yeah, I love splitboarding too. But it is like, you don't want to get stuck in being the same person and always thinking like, oh, I'm 2 Mill Hill. Like, yes, that was important. That's who I was, and it made me who I am. But I also want to keep evolving and changing, and that's what Shreggy, and that's what corporate Greg is. It's like you just keep like figuring out different things to do, and it's just like, to me, it's to not get stuck in a box and always being that one person. So you can evolve.
So there's still a chance for the stand-up bass. You got time, man.
Musician Greg.
Yeah.
Musician
Right,
Greg.
there is. You're right. You're right. You're right. Stop limiting yourself.
Yeah.
Greg.
There's a guy in town who is working his way towards being a guide. We call him Bambino, but his name is not Bambino.
Yeah.
He's a bass player who I'm sure would.
Oh
love
yeah, he's
to
supposed to be really good.
He's in Beef Dip. He would love to teach you to play the bass. Well, thank you for your time. This has been super fun.
It's been great. Yeah.
At the end of the show, we always kind of wrap up by saying, if someone's sitting at home and they're watching this or they're listening to this, and maybe they have an idea for something that they want to do in their life that seems impossible, and maybe that's doing an endurance feat, maybe it's just going ski touring for the first time, maybe it's just exercising outside or starting something. Is there a piece of advice that you could give them that helps you keep doing what you do every day?
Yeah, actually, I think this kind of flips back to that we are our own limiting factor, that we are what gets in the way of what we want to do. So I just met Mark Herberson last weekend. A year ago, he crashed paragliding, lost half his leg. And within the last year, since losing his leg, he's healed a ton. He's run 65 kilometers. He is rock climbing. He went back and paraglided over the site where he crashed. And like, to me, when I saw Mark, I was like, Mark, you're showing the world that you can do whatever you want to do, that it's like, it's up to us to decide. Yes, there's all these things, but the only thing getting in the way of us doing what we want to do is ourselves. And I think that's the biggest learning. Like, it's so impressive what he's doing. I was so happy to see him in Red River Gorge rock climbing. And you're like,
nice.
The limitations we put on ourselves are the limitations we put on ourselves. Nobody else. We're the ones that are deciding we can't go do that thing. We're the ones that are like, oh, I don't have the strength or the money. And it's like, you're like learning from Mark, learning from me. It's like, don't limit yourself. Like, if you dream of something, do it and take that small step. And everything, like, there's the classic, it's 1 step, 2 steps, to the greatness. Like, just take those first small steps and kind of keep moving forward. So, but yeah, you are your limiting factor. So get out of yourself and make those dreams come true, I guess.
Write that book.
Yeah, or whatever it is, right? Like, yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
That was fun.
It's fun.
We are
Chafed
and Confused.